Fellow nerds, we are talking Secret Invasion Episode 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed. They had some, I thought, tremendous scenes, pushed the story along. I was a little worried when I was watching it about Dave's enjoyment level because this show is kind of a slower burn. But I do believe you're still enjoying it if I remember correctly.
You are correct, sir. Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's it?
it
Okay.
doesn't have to be all action for me. It just has to flow correctly. If the flow is telling the story in a, without dragging its ass like Ad Astra, then it's a good, then I'll like it. But it doesn't have to be action all the time.
Okay, let's play a game, Dave. Tell me something I don't know. I thought that was great when
I'm
Fury
trying to
was
think of the
playing.
line, but I can't remember it. Well, you get one, but nobody gets two.
That's right. I just thought that was great. We got a little more like backstory on Fury, if it's true, because who knows, what he's telling. As the world's greatest spy, he could say anything to anybody to try to get out what he wants. But I thought that was great with Talos. And I bring that up because for those of you who didn't watch last week, Doug's theory, which I now think is 100%, well, we're always 100% accurate, but I now know for sure it's 100% accurate, is that Talos is actually the ringleader for all of these rebels. He is running the show.
That's what I think.
And I think Fury knows it now, too. I think he figured it out in that one little conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he told him no in that first episode. That's why he said,
Skrull.
don't kill this guy, because he's going to control it. He's not going to let anything happen to his guys, and then he actually lets something happen to his guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he's smart enough. He'll, workshop that into, I was trying to do my best, and, Fury's just, he's out on his own. We got to stop him. This is how we're going to do it. He's going to be here. And then they just,
have either of you figured out what exactly is Rhodey's job with the government? Like, is he like chief of staff? Like, what exactly is he?
I was trying to think because they called him Colonel. And so I'm assuming he's still active in the military.
Right.
His Skrull is still active.
Oh, so then,
Yes.
if he's still a colonel, then he wouldn't be in charge of, like, the entire military. Then, because it seems like, first off, we saw him talking to the president, possibly. Could have been a Skrull moment. Who knows in this show? Everybody's a Skrull and not a Skrull at the same time. It's Schrodinger Skrull, but then,
to be clear, that's what Doug doesn't like about this show. Okay,
it's so annoying to me. But then you've got him like basically with a bunch of goons, I'll call them, there to confront Fury, and it was like, why would they put this guy in? Like, is it because he's an Avenger, or like, what is his role? Like, what is his job that would make him be like the point man for all of this?
The only thing I can think of, because you're right, seeing him, knowing he's still a colonel, still active military, he's not a cabinet post. The only thing I can think of is that the president and him are both Skrulls. And we know they've infiltrated the upper levels of, government, everything else. And so maybe he brings Rhodey on like as a special advisor because they're Skrulls and they can talk. Yeah.
Well, here's my question, and I know you guys can clear it up for me. I don't remember what happened, like, because he said he'd get in Infinity War. He said that's a court martial, so he'd be out of the military for disobeying.
I took that as a joke.
Whatever happened to that? Did anything happen because he disobeyed the chief of staff?
Yeah, but they also saved the entire world, so
yeah. So they just don't even mention it, and then he just went on to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he was fine there. But they never explained it, so I guess it was just left unexplained.
But you know what? Yeah, maybe they'll hit on it in Captain America: Brave New World or Thunderbolts. But you know what's funny? We haven't seen Rhodey suit up. We didn't see him suit up in Captain America and the White Wolf, and
Right.
we haven't seen him suit up here yet either, even though he did threaten Slovakia with a carpet bombing.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't seen it, so maybe the Skrull who is impersonating him, if that's what's going on, can't really handle the War Machine armor. But then when
It's
would
got
he
to
have
be what's
been
going on.
switched out?
Is
Yeah, he
is
looked
his
so
walking
happy.
shield?
He really looked really happy that he was there to fire Fury, and being that that's their first scene together in the
Look
MCU,
happy.
that was kind of when I realized that it was kind of shocking. But at the same time, they don't really have a history of being friends or anything, so he might just be annoyed with him from a distance if he's not a Skrull. But I think he is a Skrull.
Well, and here's the thing. Remember, we talked about last week, one of the scoopers, My Time to Shine Hello, was talking about how one of the reveals is going to be heartbreaking. And I was thinking about, after seeing that scene, I'm thinking, okay, it looks like Rhodey is probably a Skrull. And I'm like, that's not overly heartbreaking, I don't think. And then I thought, I'm like, he was best friends with Tony Stark. If he was switched out prior to Endgame and wasn't there when Tony died, sacrificing himself for the world, that's going to be a pretty emotional moment for
Yeah.
Colonel Rhodes. And I was like, that's maybe what they're talking about, not necessarily who's revealed, but what he missed because basically a Skrull took over for him.
Yeah, and he would have been in a perfect spot, being close to Tony, learning all of his tech or whatever. For a Skrull to be learning what.
That would be useful, if they're trying to
Yeah.
come up with have an edge over, because if you think about it, just the fact that they can blend in and pretend to be somebody will only get them so far, and I think that's why they're probably working on, creating a Super Skrull. As what you were saying, Dave, that it's probably a good reason why they would want to study Tony's tech. They want to have every edge that they can, right, to make sure that not only can they beat all of humanity, but they got to go up with what's left of the Avengers too.
And think about it. Remember when they were sitting at their little Illuminati of Skrulls meeting?
Mm-hmm. All those
They
world
basically,
leaders.
yes, they basically said, talking about the Avengers, they're only scared of the Avengers, and
Yeah.
that's probably what has prompted the Super Skrull, program that we obviously saw. We saw that they had Groot, Cull Obsidian, Extremis, and the Frost
Yep.
Beast DNA to work with, so they're definitely, doing their best. But the thing is, I also don't think that they are going to perfect the Super Skrull program during the show.
Oh no.
And I
But
know
did
we
you
talked.
guys, when they showed that device, did either of you think that it kind of looked like Doc Ock's have the sun in the palm of my hands device?
It did.
To me, it looked just like it. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
And the reason, we talked about it before. I said I don't think they're going to do the Super Scrolls on here. This was last week because the first one was Clert, who had the powers of the Fantastic Four. We haven't seen the Fantastic Four in the MCU.
Unless
They
they
did
just
a,
do it totally different.
but they had a hint this episode about it because when Fury's like, "You brought 1,000,000 scrolls to this world," what were you thinking? Humans can't get along with humans. This isn't going to work. We had a plan in place for a reason. But Talos said, every scroll that isn't Emperor Doge's colony, they answered. And that's huge because Doge is the one who perfected the Super Scroll program and created them. So I thought that was a little hint of what's to come. Obviously, he didn't come to Earth. He's going to perfect that wherever they're at. But they're trying here. They're going to fail, or they're going to maybe have limited success because we did see Gravik in the trailer look like what we originally thought was Venom. But now, after seeing that they have Groot's DNA, maybe it's more of a Groot thing when he's like stretching his arm out to go after somebody.
That's what I'm
So-
thinking.
Well, did he
They'll have-
also invent Dogecoin?
Yeah.
Yes,
Totally.
yes, he did.
He's
Not
already
like-
infiltrating our money systems.
We have like the Human Torch thing, the extremist power. The stretching from Groot. Let me see here. Who else was in that list?
He's able to regenerate his limbs too, as Groot.
That's right. Oh, that's a good one. Ooh.
Well, then we had the Frost Beast, which I thought was great that they threw in there because you know what that is? That's the Niflheim beast that was left after Thor: The Dark World.
I was gonna
And
say,
since
wasn't
Gary's
that
here,
Forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
God, wow. Did
Once-
we ever
once
see that
again-
movie?
I don't think they made it.
Oh, you don't think? Okay, it was not released. That would make sense.
But another, little loose end that's been floating out there for a while, and now all of a sudden we're, getting hints to it. So they, we've said it before, Kevin Feige doesn't like loose ends floating out there, but he'll take the slow burn and bring it up, 15 years later or whatever it's been.
Hmm.
I love it when studios do that. I mean, they should start planting seeds right now for the Jean Grey story done right. You know what I mean?
I hope they
For,
are. Oh,
the Dark Phoenix done right. They should do
If
that
only.
right away.
I'm just. Swear to God, I'm waiting for them to like accidentally rehire the same director for the third time, and be like, "Hey, we heard that you've got some familiarity with the Dark Phoenix saga. You can say that."
Was that Bryan Singer?
Yeah.
Is he the one who did those?
no, it was, there was a different director for The Last Stand and Dark Phoenix. But the guy who directed Dark Phoenix also wrote The Last Stand. It's like,
Yeah, Sam something.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but yeah.
Oh, so it's the
No,
same
he-
writer. I'm sorry, I thought it was like the same director.
I'll find it. You
I knew it
guys
was something
continue.
like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no.
bring on the same exact writer. Okay, so here's my idea. We're
gonna do the same thing, but worse.
We don't introduce any of them. Nobody knows who they are. We just go immediately Jean Grey as Dark Phoenix. Who's Jean Grey? Doesn't matter.
She's going to be Marvel Girl for 5 seconds on screen. And then she's going to be overwhelmed by the Phoenix. And then she's going to be Dark Phoenix 10 seconds after that. It's going to be awesome. It's going to work.
Simon Kinberg.
Yes, that's him.
Yes. That's,
I got
He
it
should
down for
never-
sure this time, you guys.
keep him out of
He
it.
should-
and then
He should
it'll be
never
fine.
go anywhere near another X-Men, Avengers, DC movie, anything. He can, I don't know, he can write for Zack Snyder, I suppose. That's about the,
I was gonna say, you could bring in Zack Snyder or Michael Bay or Roland Emmerich, and still get a better movie.
They'll name it just Phoenix.
finally.
Phoenix. We'll preempt the whole X-Men coming into the universe, and we'll just do the Phoenix story first. It'll be great. They'll love it.
Phoenix is the worst rated Marvel movie. It brought in less viewers and less box office than The Flash.
It made
gosh.
$50,000.
Yeah.
And that's it. International.
It made less money than the second release of Morbius.
And it was only Simon Kinberg's family that went to
Yeah.
pay the $50,000.
You'd be like, "Thank you, sir, for going."
China
Now-
called it highly offensive and banned it from their country. Not because it contained anything offensive, they just said it was a terrible movie.
Poor Phoenix. I'm gonna have to do a back issue breakdown on the real Dark Phoenix saga from the comics
That would be a good idea.
because that is amazing.
Yes,
And yes, Carrie,
hope
I hope.
they cast X-Men well as well, because I mean, they were gonna have a real hard time with Wolverine. Even though the Wolverine movies weren't that good, Hugh Jackman was the perfect Wolverine. It's gonna be hard to overcome that. And just wait for Deadpool 3. People are gonna be saying that even more after that.
Well, while we're talking Deadpool 3, let's go into tangent time for a minute.
Okay.
Sure, let's do it.
Does anyone think that we may see the MCU's Wolverine in Deadpool 3?
No.
Like, it'll almost be-
MCU's Wolverine?
It'll almost be Hugh Jackman because we're almost positive. The TVA is going to be involved. It's going to be Dave's favorite, the multiverse, and Hugh Jackman from the Foxverse may run into the MCU's Wolverine. Like they'll have cast him in secret, and then they'll have a scene like and it'll be kind of the pass off to whoever's going to be playing him in the MCU.
I mean, that could.
I don't think
happen.
they will.
I hope not, though, because to me that would be kind of a bad way to do it. Like let's be honest, the Deadpool movies are pretty out there and comedic, and for them to pass the torch to a pretty serious, like, heavy hitter in, the X-Men and in the Marvel Universe in a comedic slapstick, movie about dick jokes. Like, I don't know. I don't see that going over well with fans.
Well, it may not be their best bet, but if they did it in a post-credit scene,
What they could do.
and I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do, but it would generate, because I think Marvel
People would
wants
talk.
to make sure this generates, billions of dollars. And
It'd be
having
just
to do
like,
Wolverine being a post-credit scene could do that.
Be just like introducing Hulk's son at the end of She-Hulk.
Oh my god.
Hey, by
That
the way,
was
end of
so
episode.
terrible. Not that show wasn't terrible on its own, but that just made it so much worse.
See, I enjoyed She-Hulk, but I agree that was a very bad way.
It was a bad way to
Introduce
introduce that
Hulk's son.
character.
And he just walks in like he's a normal kid. Hey
Yeah.
guys, how you doing? I'm another Hulk, but come on.
Yep,
What are you
me and
doing?
Dad, we worked out all our issues on the ride over.
Here he agrees. That was so bad.
She knows what's up. But hey, let's get back to Secret Invasion because
Let's do
I
it.
think my favorite scene from this whole episode wasn't, tell me something I don't know. It wasn't the Rhodey and Fury scene, which were both tremendous scenes. It
Really?
was the interrogation scene with Fallsworth.
Oh, with the finger?
For a few reasons. One, she knew sending those guys out of the room, they were going to die. She knew the Skrulls were coming. And she sent them out there to basically be a human shield to buy her a few more minutes. And if that's not Nick Fury-esque, nothing is. And then it was so creepy because she had a smile on her face the entire time. She cuts off his finger and she's like, oh, just what I kind of thought. Now we can start. And, she's like, oh man, I forgot the lady's name from, was it Umbridge from the Harry Potter movies, who was like this,
Yeah.
who just always had a smile on her face. And I thought that scene, I had one problem with the scene. When she first went into it, she put something up on the door to kind of give her a few more minutes, and obviously she knew where the escape hatch was. But when they blew the door off, when the Skrull Gravik and his Skrull buddies got there and they blew the door off, it was nowhere to be seen. And it didn't ruin the scene for me, but I was like, they made an effort to show us putting that up, and then it's just gone. I thought that was a lot. It didn't ruin the scene, but a little blip there. But
What was your favorite line on the show?
on this show?
Mine was, I guess I'll just get right to it. It was when Fury said, it was an iconic, and I think it might set up something later. I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in. Now that's got to be setting something up. And I dug the line anyway.
Actually, you know what my favorite line from the episode probably was? When they're sitting in we'll just call them the Skrull Illuminati because I don't know what else to call them, the security, the Skrull Council,
Skrull-Illuminati.
whatever it is. And the one dissenter against Gravik, she said, we lost everything because we were too willing to wage war. And I was like, oh, I like that. She's the only one there who's realized, the Kree may have decimated us in the MCU, but we were all too willing to take part in that war. We may have lost, but it wasn't like they were just sitting on Skrullios going, hey, what a great day. Who are these guys attacking us? They were doing exactly what the Kree was doing and trying to expand their empire. So I like that. I thought that was a nice touch that at least one Skrull is like, you guys are wrong about this. This isn't going to end well for us.
See, and I was thinking, how is that going to affect the end of this story? Are we, Earthlings, going to be on the side of the Kree or the Skrull, or are we just going to be like, hey, both of you just get your crap away from us? I think that's how it's going to be.
If you don't, you don't mind me jumping to a what's next,
Uh-oh.
I've got a what's nexticle about that.
Let's hear it, sir.
So I'm sitting there watching it, and I had the same thought as Dave, right? That like as soon as Talos had mentioned that there were that many Skrull that had come to Earth, that had all answered his call, I'm just like, oh, the Kree have to know about this. I mean, they've been continuously waging war against the Skrull. Like, they've got to have some way of like tracking their movement, right? So
Maybe
if
not
all
necessarily
of them
tracking their movement, but I'm sure
you've got to be monitoring them in some way, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like if a bunch of them are all moving through kind of like similar gate points or something like that, because it seems to me that their interstellar travel works kind of similar to the way that it does in Star Wars, right? There's certain intergalactic like highways that they travel through whenever they open up the hexes and everything. So I feel like if a bunch of Skrull are all exiting around the same point and all heading to Earth, like I feel like the Kree probably are aware of this, and at some point they're going to show up, whether it's like that's the thing that ends this season, or it's like an end credit scene where like, okay, we're happy, we're peaceful again, and then all of a sudden you see a Kree warship with the brand new Inquisitor or whatever.
Well, that I like that, Doug, and it brought something to mind. In Far From Home, remember they were talking about Kree sleeper cells on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And at first we kind of theorized, oh, maybe the invasion is going to be the Kree. But I think you're right. I think those sleeper cells were there to keep tabs on the Skrulls. They know how many Skrulls are on Earth. And I think you are 100% right. I think, I don't think the end of this season is going to be the end of Secret Invasion or the Skrulls. I think this may be building up into another Kree-Skrull war with Earth right in the center of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's leading to much bigger and better things down the road.
Yeah.
And when's
So
the
Dave,
last time we saw any Kree? Was that just Captain Marvel?
yeah, in the preview, they showed the new. Is that the word Inquisitor? What was the role that what's his name took? He had the hammer,
Yeah, Ronan.
Ronan the accuser.
He's the accuser.
We saw who the new accuser was in one of the Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
The Marvels. The Marvels. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Right.
It was such a bad preview. I forgot the name of the movie. But yes, we saw who the new accuser was. And so it's got me wondering, is this season going to lead up into the Marvels?
And from what I hear, this Secret Invasion is set in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So when is the Marvels set?
I don't know. I can't keep track of the timeline in the MCU anymore.
Yeah, Nick Fury looks younger in the Marvels than he does in this show.
Well, it could still take place after, because I do believe, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, I was talking to my nephews about it.
You did. You think that he's going to clean himself up?
Yeah, I think this is the Obi-Wan for Nick Fury. He is getting his groove back. Or, I can't remember if Dave or which one of you guys said this last week, that he's just faking with the beard and moving slower. He's just using that as a ploy to get things out of people because they think he's lost a step.
He's going to be in the middle of a fight, and you're going to see this beard kind of hanging with like glue. Oops, guess the secret's out.
He puts the patch back on. He like snaps it into place. He's just like, now we're getting to work.
Even when I'm out, I'm in.
Whoa.
And it just cuts off.
Of course.
Can't do that on Disney, man.
They have to let him get one. Just give him one.
Well, yeah, they gave one to Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So they gotta let Sam Jackson say his line. Come on now.
But it will not be in a Disney Plus show.
Yeah,
but I do think you're right. I think it'll be in a movie. But now that Miss Fallsworth, the granddaughter of Union Jack, kind of knows about the Skrulls, do you think that she is going to work with Nick Fury at all? Or are we going to get two paths in this show: what Nick Fury's doing and what she's doing to kind of fight off this invasion.
That might be too complicated for 6 episodes. We only got 4 left.
That's true.
Other than that, it's a great idea. If they have time to develop it, it'd be a great story.
Yeah.
And once again, we may get a post-credit, scene that season 2 of Secret Invasion is coming at some point, because I don't think this story is going to be done in 4 more episodes. That would be unfortunately what they tried to do with, just to circle back to a few minutes ago, what they tried to do with Dark Phoenix. That would be rushing this way too fast, and it would not be good. If they try to wrap it up by the end of those 4 episodes, it's going to be a huge disappointment.
And speaking of how happy Rhodey was to fire Fury, do you think, why was he in a position to fire him?
That's what I was asking. Who is he in the government that he could do that?
Right.
It didn't make sense to me. That whole scene didn't make sense. Because first off, this whole thing that happened, that they were trying to pin on Nick Fury for the thing that happened in Russia, which, come on, there should be a little bit more investigation into it. I don't get why that would be a fireable offense unless that wasn't Rhodey.
And the other part of that is, do you send someone up into space and have them be an expert on the Skrulls for 30 years, and they're up in space developing Saber for the last 5 years, and then you just fire them? Who are you going to replace them with? It doesn't make sense.
No, it's not the way that would happen either.
No, it's not. So could it be something that Rhodey knew? If it's not a Skrull Rhodey, he knew he had to fire Fury. So there's no strings attached. He could let
So
him
he
do
could
what
go
he
off and
needed
do
to
whatever he wanted.
Yes, he could be off the grid and kind of.
Maybe.
That's the only way to me that scene really makes.
Both options
sense.
are dumb.
True, but this way makes a little more sense in the grand scheme. And it was funny because I thought their dialogue back and forth was so great. It didn't bother me that I'm like, okay, why is Rhodey doing this? Is he the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. now? How is this going on? Wait, there's no S.H.I.E.L.D. See, it's okay.
Another thing
Just
that
talk, guys. Act your butts off.
the other thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I wasn't sure how I should feel about it, was when they had the UN, meeting to kind of discuss what went down in Russia, and Rhodey comes sauntering in, and they're like, "Oh, you're the one that's going to be speaking on behalf of the United States," and it was yeah, we're the USA. We can do whatever the hell we want. And who are you to say that we can or cannot allegedly blow up part of Russia? Anyway, deuces. I was just like,
well, that's when I first started thinking he was a Skrull 100%, because the Skrulls want the U.S. and Russia to go to war.
they
Hopefully have it nuclear, so humans can't survive there. And that seemed like someone who was really yeah, you're our allies, but you know what? We don't need you. We're going to be fine. Yeah, exactly. You want to go work with Russia? Do it. We'll take you out too. Little, saunters out yeah.
I was waiting for the fireworks and the eagle screech, and I'm just like, what just happened? What was it? Who allowed that to happen? Unless the entire United States government is currently being run by Skrull, which that could very well be, who allowed that to happen? That is so I was just waiting for the Secretary of State to come running in. Oh my God, no, you guys, I do not know what that was all about. We did not. That is not what we discussed. He does not speak for us. That is
He's all script.
Totally, we want to work with the world.
We want to get to the bottom of this. We know one of our guys was there, but we think we can.
You cannot blame the country for some terrorist action. And it's I'm sorry, we can't hear you. We just keep hearing this song, America, fuck yeah, and it's really drowning you out.
if Rhodey is in his War Machine armor and that song's blasting out of the speakers like as he's coming in, and then just
I was sitting there and I'm just like, did that really just happen? And then when it went to the scene where he's firing Nick Fury, I'm like, I'm so confused. What is this show, man? Like, what is happening?
It'll all come together in the end. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I mean, I'll keep watching. It's so dumb. So dumb to me. I know you guys love it. It's so dumb to me.
Some shows are a slow burn, like Keith said. I mean,
usually I don't mind those kind of shows, but
well, the best thing is
grinding my gears.
Like we said, the best thing's going to happen at the end where they have the reveal. I don't know if it'll be on the series, but when they do make that reveal and you look back at all the clues, that's what's going to make it, everything rewatchable.
Especially if they're going back to the movies and everything. If Rhodey is a Skrull, and you can see things throughout the movies that like.
Oh, you think they're going to do like a flashback to show all the times where it was like a Skrull or something?
Maybe, and I think if any time he was replaced, it would be after Civil War, after the Vision knocked him out of the sky. Like he was in intensive care, or well, he might have lived, but that was the best time to replace him because he gonna have a tough time fighting back. And
that's one of the things I was wondering about. When did he actually get his walking back? Like when was it? Because I thought he had mentioned to like one of the things that connected him with Nakamura, Nebula. One of the things that connected him with Nebula was the fact that Nebula was like, I've got a bunch of prosthetics, and he's like, same here. My legs. And so like what he was pointing out, like he couldn't walk without the War Machine suit. So did something about that change?
Yeah, he's no longer Rhodey.
Okay.
And
well,
they could
he
easily
was walking in Infinity War, but he had the the braces on.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I didn't see any of that when he was walking with the president, and I didn't see it when he was firing Nick Fury.
What about the moment, where in Civil War, where Vision shoots him out of the sky, and Vision says, he goes, I didn't think you could lose concentration or whatever, and Vision said, I didn't think I could either. Maybe that was on purpose, not by Vision.
Because he was a Skrull, wasn't Vision.
Yeah, no. Rhodey moved in front of the shot on purpose.
Sure.
For what end?
Now I forgot I had this complete thought the other day. Who was he shooting at?
He was shooting at Captain America, taking off his
so because I don't know, I forgot my thought, damn it. I had a thought the other day that there's a reason that, because Vision doesn't make mistakes. He's a computer.
Sure.
And there's a reason that Rhodey moved in front of it. Damn it, never mind.
No, he didn't. Rhodey didn't
know.
move in front of. Well, I mean, like in your scenario, if that is actually what happened, but in the movie, he was distracted by Wanda, and that's why his aim got off. It was because he was becoming more human by showing worry for Wanda, and that's why he missed his shot when he was aiming for.
That's the current theory, but there's a Skrull theory.
Well, right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out like what your theory is. In the movie, that was the reason why. But what is a Skrull theory?
I can't recall right now.
Oh, okay.
If it comes back into my head, I have a very weird memory. If it pops back up, I'll say it. Even if we're talking about
your memory cannot possibly be worse than mine. It's literally file cabinets. I don't even have digital memory. I haven't upgraded yet. It's just an old man with dementia and file cabinets.
It's like Miss Minutes scrolling through at the end of Loki. Oh,
no,
let me find
way
that
slower.
file for you. We should rename our channel something about, because all of us have terrible memories.
Mm-hmm. There's been so many times where when we were at the studio and we were recording, like, he was in that. It was that one guy. He was in that movie. Okay, hold on. Pause here.
Yeah. Edit this out.
Sam Jackson. Star
Sam
Wars.
Jackson.
That was it.
That's him. Okay, so while Dave is thinking of that, I think the only thing left to talk about in this episode, I could be wrong, is
Okay.
Sam Jackson's secret wife.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Skrull.
Like I said, I forgot the details.
Wait,
that's
the Skrull?
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
At the
Did you
very
not
end
see
of the
the end
show.
of the episode when he came into the house and Priscilla was there? They showed her as a Skrull cooking, and then when he opened the door, she turned into like a
Oh,
human
I
form.
must have missed that. Yeah, like I saw the wife thing, but no, I missed the part where she was just. I'm sorry. This show has been losing my attention. Like I go in and out of consciousness watching it, so I totally missed that.
So
I didn't realize.
Does he know that she's a Skrull, or is she tricking him? I think they're both Skrulls.
You think
Does
Fury's
it
a Skrull
matter?
too?
I think Fury could be a Skrull right now. I mean, if he's gonna come back looking all shaved and in shape, you know,
Stupid.
this could be a decoy for the other Skrulls.
Like Skrull Nick Fury let Maria Hill die because the
Yes.
real Nick Fury would have never let it happen. I guess you know what my first thought was
What's that?
that when they revealed that his wife was a Skrull, it's like she tipped him off what was going on. And he has a lot more knowledge of what's going on right now than he's letting on. And that was our little tip of the cap to say he knows so much more. That's how he knew. He knew about the million Skrulls coming before Talos told him. That whole "tell me what you know" thing was, I have information. I just want to see if you're going to be honest with me.
And that's what good spies do. They don't ask questions they don't know the answer to,
Yep.
because that's how they know if you're lying.
And so I thought that was, us being tipped off that he knows a lot more what's going on right now with the Skrull Council, Gravik, and everybody else than he is letting on. And that's going to help him, put the right pieces in place where he wants them to help, stop Gravik and his plans for this, first season of the show if we do get more seasons.
Is anything going to save the show for you, Doug? What would it take?
I wish I had an answer for that. I don't know. I really don't know. It's so nebulous with like everyone's a Skrull and not a Skrull, and I don't care.
It's too much.
I was gonna say that's a tough hill to climb.
Exactly. It was just like, I kind of figured going into it, although I didn't think I was going to like it for a totally different reason. When it was first announced, my thought process was, and I think I've said this before, my thought process was, how are you going to shoehorn in a secret invasion when you've been pushing this whole the Skrulls are the good guys thing in the MCU? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, it's a really great comic book story. Don't get me wrong. It is. It's a good comic book story. But they had been setting up throughout the comics that the Skrulls were the bad guys. Like, there wasn't any Skrulls working with S.H.I.E.L.D. or with Nick Fury or anything like that. So it was easier to grasp. It's like, well, yeah, obviously they're the bad guys. But this one, it took a little bit more convincing. I was like, going in, I'm thinking, okay, you're going to really have to sell me on why this is happening. And they did a good job of that. I'll give it that. They did a good job of convincing me why this is happening. And especially the Talos revelation. That part was good. That is probably the best part of this episode, because that almost look of horror on Nick Fury's face when he was like, you've got to be shitting me, man. This is way bigger than I thought it was. That was probably the best part of this.
I thought what was interesting, and I had to check the math, they basically came back to Earth 2 years after Captain Marvel and basically said, they're not finding us crap. And this kind of the seeds of rebellion or, this happened way back then. And I'm like, oh my God, 2 years, that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. That's bad. And that's why this another
they didn't
little
give him a whole lot of
part.
time.
No, another little part that Talos is involved. But they were almost kind of right, because it's not like Nick Fury or Captain Marvel has done much to
No.
find them a new home. And it sounds like, Doge, Emperor Doji or whatever, is somewhere too where it sounds like his community is thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it's on another planet or what it is, we don't know, but I think we're going to find out more about that. If not in this series, probably in the Marvels.
Yeah, I could see that happening in the Marvels. Huh. Yeah, I had to go back and replay that the end of the episode because I totally missed the entire him driving home. Like, I think I must have been doing something else. I have no idea what, but I came back after he was already in his house, and I started, I was watching the episode. I was like, oh, yeah, he's got a wife. Wow, I did not know that. Didn't think anything else of it. I was just like, oh, this is the first time seeing her. Did not know that she was a Skrull. No kidding.
Now, it will be
That's,
interesting to see if Dave's theory is right and that Nick Fury is a Skrull too, because we did talk about, I can't remember if it was last week or during the trailer.
I don't think he is.
That I don't think so either, but it would be a way to handle, him without the patch, with the beard as opposed to with the patch, and maybe a little more clean shaven is the way to tell, for the audience to tell the difference between the
Kevin
two.
Bacon wasn't in Footloose. Hee-haw, hee-haw.
To me,
Oh.
it would be more interesting if he had no idea that either A, that he had no idea he married a Skrull, or B, his wife was replaced by a Skrull, and he didn't know.
And that could
I don't
definitely,
know.
that's the third
He's been
part.
around
that could
Skrulls
be.
for 30 years. I think he
But
probably.
did this one
knows.
get so good at copying all of his wife's memories and mannerisms that he wasn't able to pick up on it?
That
I
would
hope
have
not,
to be an
because that-
amazing Skrull.
And that would be the ultimate crushing thing, because it's one thing for him to fail as a spy, but to not even realize that your own wife had been replaced, that would be the ultimate defeating moment for him.
Yeah, you're right. That would.
That
and
might
I
win
don't
me
think
over.
it's going.
If they did that for a bit of character building for him, and I'm watching the scene where this is where I like basically came back where they're making out and everything. I'm just like, if this had been happening for years and he had no idea that his wife had been replaced, holy crap, that would destroy him.
What did she say when
Yeah.
he walked? Did she call him by his name?
I don't know, because I had it on mute. Not sure.
I wonder because he said everyone calls him Fury, right? So when you have a wife, what are they going to call you? She's going to call me Fury. When I have kids, they're going to call me Fury too. But every time Maria talked to him, she called him Nick. So
That's true.
She was the only one who was allowed to call him that. And I was, not that I have anything against Colby Smothers, one of the third Smother brother.
Smothers.
But it doesn't look like they're bringing her back, and I'm happy. I don't want,
Good.
death needs to have meaning and stakes, and I think that will go a long way with, unfortunately, not seeing her back as Maria Hill to where it can go. But anything else on Secret Invasion, gents?
Did you have any other what's next?
No, just, I think that this isn't the end, and I think the Kree will get involved, like you said. There's so much that we don't know yet. I still think that hasn't been revealed in the show, that we don't have all the information yet. But that was the first thing I was thinking about after the show is I didn't think the Marvels was going to connect to this at all. But I do now think that might be from the Kree's point of view, along with the Marvels from what's going on kind of on Earth. So it could be interesting because that trailer was
Bad?
didn't leave me wanting to see that movie. It lessened
God.
my hype level, and maybe now if we find out a little more about the plot after Secret Invasion, like they had to hold back.
Yeah, if
some.
it gave it a little bit of meat, that would more stakes other than we're doing Freaky Friday. It's like,
Meat and steaks. Are you
Yeah.
hungry, Doug?
I am. But yeah, if it gave it a little bit more, to make it worth going to see, even if it's, Skrull nonsense, You know, anything that would make it other than oopsie doos. I'm in Captain Marvel's adventure. Crazy.
Yeah,
This is silly. Hey, you're a cat. You're not a cat.
You're flirking.
So I went back and I turned subtitles on. She doesn't call him anything, Dave.
Oh, he just comes in and that's it.
He walks in and she says, "Aren't you forgetting something?" He goes back, puts on his wedding ring, and he says, "Is that better?" And she said, "Almost." And then they start kissing, and then goes to credits.
So no name.
No name.
She'd probably call him honey anyway, even if she did address him.
She was making him toast. It was cut diagonal.
He's a Skrull, damn it. Told you.
And don't forget to hit us up at Twitter, leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.